This billionaire pretended to be a poor security guard for 6 months. Do you know why? Well, he wanted to find true love. It's not what you think. A man who had everything except love decided to change his life forever. A young, handsome, and charismatic guy named Brandon had it all. Fame, fortune, status, beautiful women. However, there was one thing missing from his life: a loving wife. He wasn't really looking for a woman who would just be by his side for the social appearances, or for someone who could bear him an heir. He wanted something real, a connection based on mutual respect and affection. But how could he possibly find such a woman when every single person around him had some kind of ulterior motive? That's when Brandon came up with a crazy plan. He decided to pretend to be someone else, someone ordinary, someone who didn't have a single penny to his name. Brandon's father, William, was the CEO of a large corporation, and he ran his father's business on a daily basis. Even though he hated showing off, he couldn't help but attract attention because of his expensive watch. So he decided that if he wanted to meet a woman without any pretense, he needed to do something drastic. When his father visited him, he told him about his crazy idea, which consisted of pretending to be a poor security guard working at his father's company. William was shocked, but he knew his son better than anyone else, and he knew that once Brandon set his mind on something, there was no talking him out of it. "You're an idiot," his father finally said with a smile, "but I like your style." And so they made a deal. Though William promised to take care of his son's financial situation for the next 6 months, while Brandon would try to find the love of his life among the employees of their company. The plan was simple, but difficult to execute. Brandon had to completely change his appearance. He had to cut his long and luscious hair, which was always styled perfectly by his personal hairdresser. He had to get rid of his expensive clothes and wear cheap polyester uniforms. He had to drive an old car that was almost falling apart instead of his sleek and luxurious Bentley. For the first few weeks, it was torture for him. He couldn't believe that he was doing this for a woman he didn't even know yet. But then something incredible happened. He met her. Her name was Emma, and she worked in the office as an accountant. She was intelligent, funny, caring, and beautiful too. And she wasn't like other women Brandon had dated before. She wasn't interested in his money or status. She was genuinely kind and friendly, and she treated everyone the same way. He started spending more and more time with her, and soon they became best friends. Brandon confided in her about his problems, his fears, and his dreams. And he never told her that he was actually a billionaire. He didn't want to scare her away. He wanted to see if she would like him for who he was, not for what he had. One day, Brandon went to her house for dinner and he met her family. They were a humble family, but they were happy and united, and Brandon felt comfortable around them. He even met her little brother, who was a bright and curious kid. When he played with him, Brandon realized that he wanted to have a family like this, a place where he could feel loved and accepted for who he was. As the weeks went by, Brandon fell deeply in love with Emma. He never felt this way before. He was ready to give up everything for her, even his fortune. But he also knew that he couldn't keep pretending forever. He had to tell her the truth sooner or later, but he was afraid of losing her. What if she only liked him because of his money? What if she didn't love him anymore once she knew the truth? One evening, while they were having dinner at a restaurant, Brandon finally gathered all his courage and told her everything. He confessed that he was the real owner of the company where they both worked. Emma was shocked. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. She thought that the man she loved was just an ordinary security guard. She didn't know anything about his past. When he was done, she looked at him for a moment in silence. Then she said something that surprised him. "I still love you." Brandon was stunned. He couldn't believe that she still loved him. He thought that she would break up with him as soon as she heard the truth. But she didn't. She loved him for who he was, not for what he had. He was so happy that he could cry. He hugged her tightly and whispered, "I love you too." After that, they went back home. The next day, Brandon went to his father's office and told him that he found the woman he wanted to marry. "I'm so happy for you, son," his father said with a smile. "You found a good woman. She's not after your money. She loves you for who you are." Brandon nodded. He knew his father was right. But he also knew that he couldn't keep working for his company. It wouldn't be fair to Emma or to himself. So he decided to quit. "What are you going to do now?" his father asked him. "I don't know yet. Maybe I'll start my own business, or maybe I'll just take some time off and enjoy life. And that's exactly what he did. Brandon quit his job and spent the next few months with Emma. They traveled, they explored new places, and they fell even more in love with each other. Brandon never forgot the valuable lesson he learned during those 6 months. He realized that money and status didn't matter as much as love and happiness. He also realized that he didn't need anything else. He already had everything he ever wanted. One day, while they were walking in the park, Brandon proposed to Emma. He got down on one knee and said, "Emma, will you marry me?" Emma was speechless. She couldn't believe that the man she loved was asking her to become his wife. Of course, she said yes. Their wedding was a beautiful ceremony held in a small church. Only a few people attended, but it didn't matter. All that mattered was that Brandon and Emma were starting their new life together. As they exchanged their vows, Brandon promised to love and cherish Emma for the rest of his life. He knew that she was the woman he wanted to spend his eternity with. After the ceremony, they drove off in a modest but cute car. They didn't need a luxurious wedding or a reception hall. They didn't need anything else but each other. They drove to a small cottage they had bought near the sea. It was a simple and cozy place, but it was theirs. As the years went by, Brandon and Emma's love grew stronger. They had 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl. They were proud of their humble life, and they were grateful for every moment they spent together. Brandon never regretted the decision he made 6 years ago. He knew that, without that crazy plan, he would have never met the woman of his dreams. He also knew that his father was right. He had found a good woman who loved him for who he was, not for what he had. One day, Brandon and Emma were sitting on the porch of their cottage, watching the sunset over the sea. Their children were playing in the yard, and the old dog was resting under the tree. "I'm so glad we found each other," Brandon said to Emma, holding her hand. "Me too," she replied, smiling. "Who needs money and status when you have love and happiness?" And as they watched their children playing in the golden light of the sunset, they knew that they had it all. This story has a happy ending. Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of courage to make a big change in your life. Who knows? Maybe you'll find the love of your life in the most unexpected place. Have you ever had a crazy plan? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Which billionaire should we talk about next? Let us know in the comments below. We appreciate your support. Don't forget to check out our other videos. Thanks for watching.